All right, welcome to the WTF Divorce podcast. Today we are lucky to be joined again by Alyssa Dineen. Alyssa is a dating coach. Alyssa, good to have you back.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me again.
All right, well, you talk a lot about dating apps, but as we know, a lot of people get burnt out and fed up by dating apps. So today we're going to talk about 5 ideas of where you can meet people in real life, make it actionable so it's not just like, oh, go to the grocery store, you'll meet people. So let's help people out. I think
Yeah.
we forgot how to date in real life.
Yes, agreed.
All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the friend setup. I don't think people do this well. We feel awkward about it, but it can be really powerful if done well. How do you advise your clients to go about getting set up by friends?
Yeah, and I think people kind of groan when they hear this one, like, oh yeah, I've already tried that. Doesn't work. No one sets people up anymore. But you have to do it the right way and definitely do not do a mass email, which is the mistake I made myself. People want it to be personalized, and then also if they see that you've sent it to 20 other people, they're going to think, oh, they don't need me. I'm sure someone else will set them up. So individualize it. Hey, it was great to see you this weekend, putting it out there. I'm getting really sick of dating apps. I really want to meet someone. If you think of anyone, I'm open to meeting anyone in real life for coffee. So, and then remind them, because people forget, they get on with their own life and they forget about you. It doesn't matter how much they care about you, they'll forget if it's not top of mind. So reminding them, and that's the other mistake I made myself. Like I put it out once and then never followed up. So following up, and you can even say, like, don't want to be annoying, but if you were in dating apps you'd feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
it's just make it funny, and just don't forget about me, and totally open to being set up. And then remind them again, honestly. I mean, if it's someone who's you're close enough with, like, just every few months, like, hey, I'm still here. So people just need to be reminded.
Yeah. Maybe even put it on your calendar like once every 6 weeks. I'm just going to send it to this batch of people.
Yeah.
Because they really like people, everybody's living in their own world. They might for a moment be like, oh, Alyssa, I have a great person for you. They don't even remember to do it because they got kids and a life. So, and I
Yep.
think that's a underrated challenge of divorce. You're the one dealing with all this shit. And it's on you to be like, hey, do you want to go out? Hey, do you want to grab a beer,
Mhm.
grab dinner? And then you're also dealing with these like micro rejections of, oh, we got the kids that night. So it sounds easy, but I think like speaking to this is not easy, but you need almost like a system and a
Yeah.
thicker skin to get through it.
Yeah, and obviously trying not to take it personally when people can't meet up. But yeah, I mean, people just need to be reminded, honestly. It really is so much about that. Just, putting it out there. I'm here, ready, available for coffee.
Yeah. And they could, like we always talk about too, people are getting divorced every 5 minutes. So they
Hmm.
might have a new friend that, oh, I have a friend that just got
Yeah,
divorced. You should meet
exactly.
them. And
Yeah.
then and then you should say, oh, she's been divorced for 5 minutes. Maybe I should take it easy. But they're
Yeah.
still good people to meet. Sometimes you meet somebody and
Right.
they'll be your person in a year.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I like that. And you can do that on like Facebook, like Messenger friend as well. That's another good way to reach out
Yeah.
to people.
Definitely look up old friends on Facebook, friends from college, whatever. I'm newly single. If you think of anyone, even I've even heard of clients and a few friends who have reacquainted themselves with people they went to college with, not even dated or were friends with necessarily, but and now they're dating, after divorce. So Facebook can be a good tool, actually.
And you brought up college. There's another good one that you had on your list, alumni groups. Talk about how those work.
Yeah, another one that when you say it out loud sounds pretty obvious, but I think a lot of people forget about it. But getting involved in the reunion planning or any events, networking events, offer to host one, maybe in your city. Just getting more involved, and I'm sure most of them have like either a website or a Facebook group or something that you can become a part of. And I think as we just said, people are getting divorced all the time, and in a certain age group you're going to go to these events and half the people will be divorced. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a good one.
So you get all those emails like asking for money and donations. Now you might have an incentive to actually open them and maybe go to an event and have
Exactly. Yeah.
something in common. I think that's good. It breaks the ice of like,
Yeah.
oh, you went to,
You have a commonality to start with, and again, even if you weren't even friends in college, just having that, common ground.
Right. That's a good one. Another one you talk about that a lot of people and people forget about, watch sports, go to a bar to watch a game.
Yeah, and kind of what we were thinking is maybe something more, if you're not into sports yourself, you don't have to go to like the, Thursday night football or anything, but something more like, the Euro Cup, or Olympics or something that's going to be really, exciting and everyone's going to be kind of involved and more open to chatting with people around them about the game. So finding something like that, it doesn't have to be even a sports bar, but just even a place that's hosting, playing it on there, and that people are going to go. So
Yeah, that's a good idea. And that kind of leads into another big one you talk about that I'm sure a lot of people roll their eyes at, like events, clubs, hobbies, that kind of thing. But where do you start? Talk about that and where people should go to find these things.
well, for one, if you want to find events, you can go to Eventbrite and you can search by your city, your age group, whether it's a singles event or not. And when we say this, we don't even mean necessarily singles events. It doesn't have to be singles specific, but an event where there'll be kind of an engaged group and people chatting with each other, and like a trivia night, or but for hobbies, like a climbing gym or a pottery class, or a choir, singing group, something like that. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could get involved with something that you're interested in. And it doesn't have to be a running club. That's kind of the meme of the moment right now. Like, everyone's joining running clubs. Great if you want to do that, but that's not your thing. There's always a lot of other options. And I think people just don't think of it in that way.
And I like how you remind us that they don't have to be singles event. It can be a
Yeah,
broader thing. There will be single people there. And I
right.
think the overall mindset is you're not really going to date per se. You're going to meet new people to get more comfortable being on your own, being social. And when we're trying to meet somebody, that's like we get tunnel vision and that doesn't really help us.
No, and I think everyone just got really focused on dating apps because that was really the way. I think it was just kind of named as the way to meet people, and especially during COVID, it was the only way. And I think more and more people are turning away from dating apps and wanting to meet in real life. And I think, you know, just being more open when you are out in the real world. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but I've been suggesting, like, go with a friend who's not single actually to some of these events, who doesn't have a stake in it, and we'll just chat up whoever you want to talk to, and maybe they'll be your wingman. So just really trying to think outside the box, that you're not just tied to the dating apps, and dating apps are a tool to use to meet more people, but it's not the only way to meet new people. So,
Right. And everybody gets burnt out on the dating app, especially the first year after divorce. So that is a
yeah.
normal thing. You can
Hmm.
get off of them, you can get back on them, and they complement each other. Maybe it's like I meet somebody on an app and we go to an event together. So, like, we've got
Exactly.
to
Yeah, and become friends.
broaden our.
Right. And then you
Exactly,
broaden
yes.
your
Friends
network of
is an
people.
underrated. And maybe I always say, I'm like, it's harder to make good friends as a guy than it is to find a date today.
I think I lost you.
Did I lose you
Hello?
there for a second?
I think I lost you.
I,
Can you
I,
hear me?
I hear you. You're back. I think you're back. Can you see? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Can you hear me?
there's a delay. I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you
Um, yes, I can hear you. We'll try it again. I'll chop it
Okay.
up if need be.
Okay.
I was saying, as a guy, I actually find it harder to make friends, especially with other guys, than it is to find a date. So that's a helpful reframe.
Yes, it's so true. I think a lot of divorced men have that same issue with just finding a new network of friends that are single, that can hang out and go do things together.
All right, one more quick tip. Friend dinners, organizing something like that. How's that go?
Yeah, and this is where, it should be, each person is inviting one single friend, and then ideally maybe even that friend is inviting another friend. And it's really, the point is to kind of spread your network a little wider. And it should be at least 8 people, so that there's isn't any awkwardness and like kind of breaking off and chatting with someone. And then maybe even introducing some kind of a game, like, Pictionary or Celebrity or something, where it gets people laughing and talking and chatting and flirting. So,
Game. I like that. Name tags, even too. They feel super cringe and awkward, but maybe they're helpful for people.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Lean into the cringe. Just everybody's like, we're divorced. All right, let's get the
Yeah.
elephant. All right. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for being on. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, on Instagram at Alyssa Dineen and at stylemyprofilenyc.com. And then my website is stylemyprofilenyc.com. Oh, sorry. My Instagram does not have a .com on the end.